For years, you've been told the same thing: spend 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and save 20%. Simple, clean, safe. But what if I told you that rule might be the very thing keeping you stuck? Because in 2026, the world has changed. Costs are higher, opportunities are different, and the old financial advice, it's starting to break. So if you've been following the 50-30-20 rule and still feel like you're not getting ahead, this might be the moment everything clicks. The 50-30-20 rule became popular because it was easy to understand. It gave people a framework, a sense of control, a way to organize money without overthinking it. And for a long time, it worked. But here's the problem. It was built for a different era. An era where housing was cheaper, wages were more stable, and investing opportunities were simpler. Fast forward to 2026, and the reality looks very different. Rent alone can eat up more than 50% of income. Inflation quietly erodes savings, and simply putting 20% aside often isn't enough to build real wealth anymore. So the question becomes, if the old rule no longer works, what should you do instead? To understand why the 50-30-20 rule is quietly breaking down in 2026, you have to stop looking at it as a budgeting trick and start seeing it for what it really is, a product of a very specific moment in time. It was never a universal truth. It was never a law of money. It was a framework, simple, elegant, and effective, for a world that looked very different from the one you're living in today. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. Because when a framework outlives the conditions it was built for, it doesn't just become less useful, it becomes misleading. At first, it still feels right. It still sounds logical. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings. It's clean, balanced, reassuring. It gives you the sense that if you just follow the formula, everything will fall into place. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, something begins to feel off. You follow the rule, yet progress feels slow. You save consistently, yet the gap between where you are and where you want to be doesn't seem to close. And over time, that disconnect grows into frustration. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the system you're following no longer matches reality. The first crack appears in the idea of needs. The rule assumes that your essential expenses can fit comfortably within half of your income. That assumption may have been reasonable in a different economic climate, but today, for many people, it feels almost unrealistic. Housing alone, whether it's rent or a mortgage, has expanded to consume a larger share of income than ever before. Add to that the rising cost of utilities, transportation, insurance, and basic living, and suddenly the category that was supposed to be controlled becomes overwhelming. But what's important to understand is that this isn't just a numerical issue, it's a structural shift. Because when needs begin to dominate your financial life, everything else gets compressed. The space for wants shrinks. The capacity to save becomes tighter. And the flexibility that the rule relies on begins to disappear. You're no longer allocating freely. You're reacting to constraints. And once you're in that reactive mode, the rule stops being a guide and starts feeling like a limitation. But even if you could perfectly fit your life into those percentages, there's a deeper problem that runs beneath the surface. The 50-30-20 rule is fundamentally designed around stability. It assumes a relatively predictable income, a relatively stable cost of living, and a financial environment where consistent saving leads to gradual, reliable progress. That world is fading. In its place, we have something far more dynamic, far more unpredictable, and far more opportunity-driven. Income is no longer always linear. Careers are less defined. Opportunities appear in unexpected places, sometimes outside traditional employment altogether. And perhaps most importantly, the way wealth is built has shifted. It's no longer just about what you save. It's about how effectively you position yourself within a system that rewards growth, leverage, and timing. Saving in isolation is no longer enough. And this is where the illusion begins. Because saving feels productive, it feels responsible. You watch your balance increase month after month and it creates a sense of movement. But if that money is not working, if it's not growing at a rate that outpaces inflation, opportunity cost, and the rising cost of living, then what you're experiencing is not true progress. It's stability at best, stagnation at worst. And the danger of stagnation is that it doesn't feel like failure. It feels safe. But safe, in a rapidly changing financial environment, can quietly become a form of risk. Because while your money sits still, the world around it moves. Prices increase, assets appreciate, opportunities pass, and over time, the gap between what you have and what you could have had begins to widen. This is the part the 50-30-20 rule doesn't address. It doesn't account for opportunity cost. It doesn't prioritize growth. It treats saving as an endpoint rather than a starting point. And in doing so, it frames money as something to be preserved rather than something to be deployed. That distinction changes everything. Because once you begin to see money not just as something to manage, but as something to allocate strategically, the entire framework shifts. You stop asking, "How much should I save?" and start asking, "Where will this create the most value?" And that question doesn't have a fixed percentage. It has context. Because not all money has the same potential. Some money needs to protect your present, covering expenses, creating stability, giving you the ability to operate without constant stress. But some money has the potential to transform your future. It can be invested in skills that increase your earning power, in assets that compound over time, in opportunities that expand your reach beyond the limits of your current situation. The problem with rigid rules is that they treat all money the same. They assume that balance is always the goal, but in reality, there are moments in life where imbalance is exactly what creates progress. Moments where investing more aggressively in growth, whether that's through education, a business, or a high-conviction opportunity, can shift your trajectory in ways that no balanced budget ever could. And yet, the 50-30-20 rule discourages that kind of thinking. It keeps you anchored to a structure that prioritizes consistency over acceleration. It values predictability over possibility. And while that may feel comfortable, it can also be limiting. Because the truth is, wealth is rarely built through perfect balance. It's built through periods of focused allocation, through decisions that may look unbalanced in the short term, but create disproportionate results over time. This doesn't mean abandoning discipline. It means redefining it. Because discipline is not about following a rule blindly. It's about making intentional decisions aligned with your long-term goals. And in 2026, that requires a different kind of awareness. An awareness of how fast the world is changing, an awareness of how opportunities are evolving, and an awareness that the old pathways to financial security are no longer as reliable as they once were. This is especially true when you consider the role of inflation, not as a temporary spike, but as a persistent force that reshapes the value of money over time. Inflation doesn't announce itself dramatically. It doesn't demand your attention. It operates quietly, gradually reducing purchasing power, subtly increasing the cost of everything around you. And if your strategy is built primarily around saving fixed percentages without actively growing those savings, inflation becomes an invisible tax on your future. It erodes progress while giving the illusion that everything is under control. This is why the shift from budgeting to allocation is so important. Because allocation forces you to think in terms of outcomes, not just categories. It forces you to evaluate whether your money is positioned effectively, whether it is aligned with the realities of the current environment, whether it is working as hard as it could be. And perhaps most importantly, it forces you to engage with your finances actively rather than passively. Because passive systems, while convenient, often fail to adapt. They continue operating under assumptions that may no longer be valid. They create consistency, but not necessarily progress. And in a world where change is constant, adaptability becomes one of the most valuable financial skills you can develop. This doesn't mean abandoning structure entirely. It means building a structure that can evolve, a system that allows for flexibility, that responds to changes in income, expenses, and opportunity. A system that prioritizes growth when growth is available, and stability when stability is needed. Because life is not static, and your financial strategy shouldn't be either. But beyond all the numbers, all the strategies, all the frameworks, there is a deeper shift happening, and it's psychological. Because for many people, the appeal of the 50-30-20 rule is not just its simplicity, it's the certainty it provides. It removes the need to think too deeply, to make complex decisions, to question whether you're doing the right thing. It tells you that if you follow the rule, you'll be okay. And letting go of that certainty can feel uncomfortable, because it requires you to take ownership, to make decisions without a predefined formula, to accept that there is no single correct answer, only better or worse choices based on your specific situation. But that discomfort is also where growth begins, because once you move beyond rigid rules, you gain something far more valuable: awareness. Awareness of how your money flows. Awareness of what truly matters to you. Awareness of the trade-offs between present comfort and future opportunity. And with that awareness comes control. Not the illusion of control provided by a simple formula, but real control. The ability to adapt, to pivot, to respond to a changing world with intention rather than habit. And over time, that difference compounds. Because while others remain anchored to outdated frameworks, struggling to make them fit a reality they were never designed for, those who adapt begin to operate on a different level. They see opportunities earlier. They allocate more effectively. They build systems that are aligned with the present, not the past. And in doing so, they create momentum. Momentum that is not dependent on perfect conditions, but on the ability to navigate imperfect ones. And that, ultimately, is what defines financial success in 2026. Not the ability to follow a rule, but the ability to evolve beyond it. Right now, financial experts are increasingly warning that traditional budgeting frameworks are struggling to keep up with modern economic realities. Rising living costs across major economies, combined with persistent inflation, are forcing households to rethink how they allocate income. At the same time, the growth of digital income streams, side hustles, and online businesses is changing how people build wealth. More importantly, younger investors are shifting focus away from saving alone and toward investing earlier and more aggressively, recognizing that time in the market often matters more than strict budgeting percentages. In other words, the system is already changing. So what should you actually do instead? First, shift your mindset from budgeting to allocation. Every dollar should have a purpose, not just a category. Second, prioritize growth. That means investing, not just in markets, but in skills, opportunities, and income expansion. Third, build flexibility into your system. Some months will require more spending, others more investing. That's normal. And finally, track progress, not perfection, because the goal isn't to follow a rule, it's to move forward. And that wraps up today's video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you learned something new, or just had a good time, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Also, let me know in the comments what your favorite part of the video was, or what other topic you'd like to see me cover next. Your preferences shape this channel, so spill the beans. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.